Hello and welcome to the Daily News on Friday, ahead of Liverpool playing Barcelona on Saturday and FC Mainz on Sunday. Again, seems to be really quiet on the transfer front. There's one story of a player potentially coming into Liverpool. There's a lot coming out of the press conference build-up for the Barcelona game. So we've got some nice comments from Suarez and then a load of interesting comments from Jurgen Klopp. We'll get straight into the player who's being linked with Liverpool. Liverpool being linked with Martin Odegaard. I hope that's how you say it. Who's from Real Madrid. He's 17 years old. He's only played one appearance for Real Madrid. If you remember, back in 2015, he was one of these child prodigy wonder kids who was like 14, 15. He was getting touted for everyone. And he was actually shown around Melwood by Brendan Rodgers at the time. You know, there was a big clamour for him. I think he went and got showed around the Man United training ground by the manager, would have been Moyes probably at the time, and definitely was at Chelsea. Juventus were in for him, and Real Madrid won it. As Ancelotti, who was the manager at the time, described, he said it was a PR exercise. He was not a player who I asked for. Basically, they signed him because other teams were trying to sign him. They paid $3 million for him in 2015. It's not gone great for him. Apparently, it's very, very strange. This is how the Mail are reporting it. Real Madrid want him to find a German club. He's Norwegian, not German, but assuming that they think his style of football would suit the German league better. Both Hamburg and Bayer Leverkusen have balked at his wage demands to take him on loan. So now they've decided it's not just a German club we want a German manager to take over him. Who's the best German manager out there? Jurgen Klopp. So apparently that's where the Liverpool links are coming from. I think this is bullshit. And if we had Carl Pilkington's bullshit man to fly in at this point and just point and say bullshit, I can't see this happening because A, he's an attacking midfielder who's 17, who's struggling to get into the Real Madrid first team. We have got an abundance of attacking midfield. You know, if he was a defensive holding mid or a centre-back or a left-back, there'd be chances that he'd play in our team. But is he really going to come in and oust, insert name here, you know, Phil Coutinho, Sadio Mane, Wijnaldum, Firmino, Markovic even, and then even like Shea Ojo, you know, better the devil you know than the devil you don't possibly? Or is he that good? People really, really thought he was going to be incredible back 2 years ago. He still is only 17. Who knows? I remember Cherno Samba at Millwall, who was like a 13, 14-year-old player who was getting touted for everyone. Most people watching this won't remember Cherno Samba. That is the point I'm trying to make. Who knows? If Klopp wants him, if he's good enough for Liverpool, let's see him come in. If he's not, it could just be a clickbaity thing. So, Suarez talking to LFC TV. Interesting little interview. He's come back and he's basically just said some nice things about Liverpool. So he said, I have some friends there and I think it's going to be a really good moment to come back and play against Liverpool. I think for players, when you play in front of 90,000 people, it's a dream. Liverpool's support is one of the best in the world and I think they're excited for the game to see great players on the pitch. Everyone knows Liverpool is so important in my life, in my career, and my family as well. My second child was born there and I had a really good moment there. I think it's a nice moment for me. Yeah, you know, look, Suarez is obviously indicating that he remembers his time at Liverpool and Liverpool as a football club quite affectionately. I think what that is the best thing that comes out of that is I don't think he'd sign for another Premiership team, which is the only saving grace. Like, look, he's gone, he's brilliant. I wished he was still at Liverpool. If he decided to leave Barcelona, I'd hope that he'd reconsider joining Liverpool in the next 2 or 3 seasons. I don't think he'll ever leave Barcelona before he's past his prime, but I don't want to see him wearing United or a City or a Chelsea shirt, which, if he's still talking about us with such affection, hopefully that would actually cut that off from happening, but you never know. He also said some nice things about Jurgen Klopp. So he said, in the last few months, everybody saw a really good performance from Liverpool. They had the chance to win the Europa League, and in the Premier League, they played really well. Now it's a new season. I think the manager will have confidence they can finish in the top 4. You know what, Louis? So do we, because no European footballs are going to be a big help. Lots of new managers coming into the teams who finished above us before last season. And the fact that if you judge Jurgen Klopp just on the football that Jurgen Klopp's team produced, they played really well. They got into that goal-scoring thread. And we've introduced pace and goals into that side. So I share your confidence that we should be finishing top 4, and I think we will. So now moving on to the main part of it, there's two different interviews with Jurgen Klopp have produced two very interesting trains of thought. So there's a lot of quotes here that I'm going to read, and then I'll give you a little bit of my opinion. You don't really want my opinion, you just want to hear what Jurgen Klopp had said himself, don't you? So the first one was with LFC TV itself, and he basically talked about insinuating Suarez and Sterling, how Liverpool can't be a selling club and they can't let the best players keep leaving, and how he hopes that this summer, where, touch wood, none of our best players have actually engineered a move away. We've sold players that weren't part of the squad and we've bought players in. That's the beginning of how Liverpool's going to continue under him. So he says, we've kept all our key players and gave a few of our big talents the opportunity to play somewhere else. I think he's talking about Jordan Ibe there, because of the education they had at Liverpool. We want to be a club in the future, for sure, whose players don't want to leave. That's very important, but it will only be possible with success and the atmosphere we create in and around the club. I think we can do this. It's one of the targets for the coming years. There hasn't been a successful team in world football who change their squad every year. You need to keep your key players. That's a very important thing. You have to create a situation where you are successful, a situation where everyone feels in a good way and we are strong enough and patient enough to keep them together. We say that same squad and consistency creates success. I just want to point on a few little things there. One, he says we need to have patience enough to keep them together, which is true. You know, we're going to have a very young squad next year, and I think he's talking about the players at the team, but also the fan base in general. Very young squad, his first proper full season, his first transfer window. You've seen he's very decisive and he's shipped out a lot of players. But with that, if it doesn't go great straight away, if we do finish fifth, not top four, if we don't see a challenge, don't lose patience, trust in him, give him, like he said, he came in and said, if I'm sitting here in 4 years' time, I'll have won a league. Let's give him that 3 or 4 years that he's asked for, just to see how he can do. Because ultimately, what else are we going to do? We're going to change manager next summer, see a whole new slew of players. And then the other one is that thing where he says something, yeah, basically, you don't want to be changing. I don't know a club where they changed a successful team in world football who change their squad every year. That's true. And I'm sure as Liverpool fans, I was bored under Rodgers of seeing 7 players in every summer and 7 players out. And it just translated to the pitch where you just never had any cohesion, really, where we had one identity one summer and then the next summer that identity was completely different. We were really free-flowing, attacking, counter-attacking side, and the next year we were a possession side, and then the next season we were trying to get crosses in from the wings for a target man that we'd bought. I want us to see us keep a similar identity, play the same way, and keep the same number of players, and only add better and better players to that squad. Another one is an interview with Melissa Reedy, which is on goal.com, which is how Klopp, it's basically Klopp talking about how he's not a one-man show, and he's given a lot of credit to his backroom staff, 2 of whom are actually new. You know, he brought in, and I'm going to have to look at the list because I can't remember the name, and also try and figure out how to pronounce them as I look at them, but Andreas Kornmeier and Mona Nemeth, we poached from Bayern Munich. That's the head of fitness is Andreas Kornmeier, and the nutritionist is Mona Nemeth. But basically, we've gone out there and we've gone and got, like, as an article that it insinuates, you know, last year we were going for the lower leagues to pick up Gary McAllister and Sean O'Driscoll. We've gone out and got these from Bayern Munich. Can you really read too much into that? I don't know, but basically they were players, they were people Klopp wanted. He went out and got them. He's actually assembled his backroom staff, and this is really, really interesting and basically just giving you an indication as to how much work and how much dedication this team actually does. So he says, I am lucky because I've had the possibility to bring the best people together. I'm not a one-man show, and I was never that in my life, and I never want to be that. I know I'm more on television and I'm more recognisable than maybe even the players because they run and train, but I just stand there and my face does all these funny things that everyone can see all the time. I don't want this attention and I don't like it, but I accept it's part of the deal. My job, first of all, is to watch everything because I need to know all the things that go on. You don't see everything clearly when you are in the middle of the chaos. So I often stand a little bit on the side because we've prepared the training together and everyone knows what they need to do. Zico is the best coach I've ever met. He is unbelievable, like a football book. Pep is in a very good way, heading in the right direction. He's young and with wonderful skill, which will see him become a great coach in future, I'm sure. I'm happy to bring in Andreas. He has top experience. He was really educated in the job and is a good guy as well. John Achterberg, more passion for goalkeeping is not possible. Pete, he's watched I don't know how many games in the last 20 years. He can tell you everything. He's another who has to see everything. So in total, we have 10 plus eyes on things, and then after training, it's not over. We sit together and discuss what we've seen. So that's actually really interesting. You know, it's something that as fans, definitely, you know, us within the Redmen ourselves, we don't talk about it that much, you know, about the backroom staff and about how much they actually contribute. Klopp came in, he brought his own team. You've got to back your manager, you've got to let him bring his own team. He spent that time, he's gone and brought more players, more staff into that as well as personnel this summer. How important is that going to be? You know, he's talking about his process there and how they take training, how he recruits and how he trusts everyone who's giving him information and how he's bringing people on and how he isn't a one-man show. Now, ultimately, football's too big, and you hear stories of Andres Villas-Boas, Brendan Rodgers and Roberto Martinez who've all had massive, massive ceilings as managers to hit and not quite hit them and fell apart. And the stories that come out is that they basically became one-man shows when it got really scary and edgy and they were fighting for the jobs. They started micromanaging on a really, really small level. Like we got told a story from Flav at the Fighting Cock, who heard that Andre Villas-Boas got down to the level of he was arranging the dinner schedules and he was organising what colour the plant pots were getting painted on the training ground because he just got that into I'm the manager and I need to manage everything. So if Jurgen Klopp's comfortable and relaxed, look, he makes a joke about his funny faces and he says, I don't like it, but that's what I have to do. That's part and parcel of it. It indicates that he's actually really, really mature as a coach and a manager. He knows what his managing role is and he's actually comfortable. So when we do go through some bad times, which we will do at times in the season, it's okay, he's got a team around him and he understands his role. It just fills me with confidence for the coming season. I'm getting more and more excited for the season coming. You know, literally we've got double header of pre-season games. And then after that, it's focusing on Arsenal. Have you done your fantasy football team yet? I spent half an hour last night doing the fantasy football team. Completely changed it this morning because there's 2 weeks to go to the season to start. That's just what you do, isn't it? So basically, how excited are you? What do you think was going to happen in the opening day? You know, Arsenal are not particularly good on opening day. Are you getting excited that we could go away and get a really good victory on the opening day? Write in the comments below who you think our starting 11 should be, who do you think our standout performer for the season is going to be, what you think the Arsenal game is going to be. And come back next week for tons of Arsenal build-up content.
Bull Street FC has been formed and the guys on your fan channel are going to be taking part in our first game, the Game of Fans, against Spencer FC's #United. If you don't want to miss out on any of the action, all you've got to do is subscribe to the Bull Street channel right now. Do it right now so that you can say, I was there when we were shit.